Hey, this is Jamey with Stonemaier Games, and today I'm going to talk about my favorite game mechanism in a video game called Void Tyrant. This is a digital game that I have on my iPhone. I think it's on other platforms too, maybe Steam as well. I'm always looking for really good combat mechanisms, at least in my opinion, combat mechanisms that I really enjoy. And it's surprisingly hard to do. I think I have a video about it. I'll search to see if I have a Sunday sit-down video about combat mechanisms. But I found that it's rather difficult to do, especially if you're looking for a combat mechanism that works against other players versus a combat mechanism that works against the AI, to have that right mix of randomness and variability so you don't know exactly what's going to happen, but that you feel like you have a fair amount of agency and decision making. And Void Tyrant has that player against the AI feeling that I really like. This is a really clever system, and I think I might try to incorporate it into one of my games if I ever have another game with combat. So in Void Tyrant, the basic idea, the core idea, is that you have a deck of, it says 16 here. I don't know exactly how many cards are in the deck. I guess around 18 cards. They're numbered 1 through 6. And you encounter these bad guys that want to fight you. And you take turns playing cards from your deck. So you draw a random card from your deck if you want to, and you reveal it. So here it shows, looks like the bad guy drew a 3. And the object is that you're both trying to get as close to 12 as possible. And if you hit 12, the combat instantly ends, and you win combat, kind of. I'll explain what that means in a minute. But you're basically taking turns playing these numbered cards, 1 through 6 at least at the beginning of the game. You can add more cards to your deck. There's some other ways to modify it. You also have these hand of cards that you can use whenever you want, which I think is cool too. That's even more agency, so you're not just relying on the luck of the draw. But it's always a choice to draw these cards. And so there's this push your luck element. How many cards do I play so that I have more cards than the opponent without busting? You don't want to go over 12. And so in my limited plays of this, I've just had a lot of fun with it because if my first draw is, say, a 1, then I know for sure I'm safe on my next draw. And then if I draw a 6, then it's a tough choice. So I have 7 at that point. Do I draw? My odds are very good there, but if I draw another 6, then that puts me over 12, and then the enemy is going to deal combat damage to me. But we're both doing that same thing. We're drawing from a deck of cards and deciding when to stop. So push your luck with control. So you're not rolling dice. So it's not completely random. You know what's in your deck. You know what you've pulled. There's a limited amount of control there. You probably could do it with a D6. I'm not sure if it would quite have the same impact, but it would be less of a component than to have like an 18-card deck on each side. But I love this idea of a press your luck combat mechanism where you're going back and forth. And the cool thing is that even though in this game they have it against the AIs, this could easily work in a player-to-player game. I attack you, I roll first, and then you roll, and then I roll. And here's the final twist for this mechanism. If both players don't bust, you do look at the player who has more combat power than the other player, and then you look at the difference between that power and the other player's power. So if I end up with 10 and my opponent has 8, then I'm dealing, it's a little more abstract here, but essentially you're dealing 2 damage to the opponent, 10 minus 8. And so there still is an incentive, even if you've passed the opponent, to even consider pushing your luck a little bit more so that you solidify that lead and even deal more damage to them. I thought that was a clever little twist there. But yeah, I think this is such a clever combat mechanism. It's just a great balance between choice and agency and a little bit of luck and winning some combats that you wouldn't expect, busting sometimes when you also wouldn't expect. So I'm curious about your thoughts on Void Tyrant. There's a lot of other elements of the game that I haven't gotten into, both because I haven't played that much of it, and possibly if you know this game that you might have played a lot more. So feel free to share your favorite mechanism in Void Tyrant, or if this reminds you of another combat mechanism in a game, a push your luck element where both players are kind of pushing their luck and trying to have more power than the other within a certain range. Let me know in the comments. Or if you just want to talk about your favorite combat mechanism, always happy to hear that. And if I have a link to that video that I mentioned, if it does exist, I'll link to it below so you can see other combat mechanisms that I enjoy. Thanks.